The mud of Redmoor Plain is slick with rain and blood. It is August 22nd, 1485, and the fate of England is being written in churned earth and shattered steel. On a small hill, a king stands beside his banner, the White Boar of York. He is Richard III, and he is watching his kingdom unravel. His army is larger, but it is fractured. Men who should be loyal are standing idle, watching, waiting. Below him, the pathetic makeshift army of an obscure Welsh exile, Henry Tudor, pushes forward. Richard is a warrior, a commander. He knows this battle is being lost not by force of arms, but by betrayal. He sees Henry Tudor's banner, a flimsy dragon standard, exposed and vulnerable. And in that moment, he makes a decision that will echo through eternity. He will not wait for treason to undo him. He will end this himself. With his household knights, a small loyal band, he lowers his lance and charges. A king with a golden crown fixed over his steel helmet, thundering down a hill into the heart of his enemy. It is a move of breathtaking, almost suicidal bravery. He smashes into Tudor's bodyguard, his lance shattering. He cuts down Henry's standard-bearer with a single blow. He is within a sword's length of his rival. He is within a heartbeat of victory. And then he sees them. On the flank, the army of Lord Stanley, thousands of men finally moving. In our history, they moved against him. They swarmed his small band of knights, dragged him from his horse, and butchered him in the mud. His crown was picked from a thorn bush and placed on Henry Tudor's head. The House of York was dead. The Tudor dynasty had begun. But history is a story of moments, a story of loyalty and betrayal. And the decision of one man on a hill could have changed everything. So let us ask the question that unseats a dynasty and rewrites the story of the modern world. What if Lord Stanley had made a different choice? What if, seeing his king in that final desperate charge, he had honored his oath? What if Richard III had won? The Stanley banners dip and their men surge forward, but not towards their king. They charge into the exposed flank of Henry Tudor's army. The impact is devastating. The rebel line, already strained, collapses into chaos. For the men fighting around Henry Tudor, the world turns upside down. The cavalry they expected to save them is instead destroying them. Richard III, invigorated by this sudden reversal, presses his attack. The circle around the Tudor pretender tightens and then vanishes. Henry Tudor, the last hope of the House of Lancaster, is cut down. His rebellion is over. By mid-afternoon, the battle is a rout. Richard III, King of England, stands victorious on the field, his crown still firmly on his head. There is no joy in his eyes, only a cold, hard fury. He has survived, but he knows the game has changed. The old loyalties are dead. The kingdom must be forged anew, not with promises, but with iron. His first act is one of brutal necessity. The traitors who were captured alive are executed on the battlefield. There are no trials, no pardons. A clear and bloody message is sent to anyone who would ever again stand and watch while their king gambled everything. But for the Stanleys, there are rewards, lands, titles, power. Richard knows he has not bought their love, only their loyalty for another day. He has won the battle, but now he must win the peace. His greatest threat remains. The Tudor claim did not die with Henry on the field. It lives in the quiet, unyielding ambition of his mother, Margaret Beaufort. He has her brought to London, not for execution. That would make her a martyr, but for a gilded imprisonment. She is stripped of her titles and lands and placed under permanent house arrest in a remote castle, doomed to live out her days as a political ghost, a mother who backed the wrong horse. But the most delicate problem is a young woman, Elizabeth of York, Richard's own niece, the daughter of his dead brother, King Edward IV. She was the great prize Henry Tudor was meant to marry, the symbol that would unite the warring houses of York and Lancaster. Now, she is Richard's most dangerous pawn. To leave her unmarried is to invite every ambitious lord or foreign prince to use her as a rallying point for a new rebellion. So Richard makes a shocking, controversial, and brilliant political move. He petitions the Pope for a dispensation to marry her himself, to unite the White Rose of York and the Red Rose of Lancaster, not in a new dynasty, but within his own. The rumors that he murdered her brothers, the princes in the Tower, make the proposal monstrous to his enemies. But to a kingdom exhausted by decades of civil war, the promise of a final, definitive peace is intoxicating. The dispensation is granted. King Richard III marries his niece, Queen Elizabeth of York. The Wars of the Roses are over. The House of York is supreme. How does a victorious Richard rule? We have clues from his short, actual reign. He was a man obsessed with justice and law. He established the Council of the North to provide swift, cheap justice for the common people. He passed laws protecting people from extortion and corruption. Freed from the constant threat of rebellion, he leans into this role. He becomes Richard the Lawgiver. His court is not one of lavish parties and continental fashion, but a serious, working center of government. It is a northern court, practical, martial, and austere. But there is a shadow that hangs over this new Yorkist England, the shadow of two boys, the princes in the Tower. In our world, their disappearance was the cornerstone of Tudor propaganda, the indelible stain that defined Richard as a monster. In this world, he is successful, established king, but the mystery doesn't go away. He can never produce the boys. He can never admit what happened. The official court story is that they died of an illness, a tragedy for which he mourned, but no one truly believes it. This becomes his great vulnerability. For the next decade, pretenders emerge, young men coached by disgruntled lords or foreign powers claiming to be the lost Prince Richard, just as they did in Henry VII's reign. But this time they face not a paranoid usurper, but a proven battlefield commander with a secure dynasty. Richard crushes these rebellions with ruthless efficiency. Each victory solidifies his reputation as the unshakable guardian of England's peace. His marriage to Elizabeth of York, initially a cold political calculation, proves successful. She gives him what his first wife could not, a healthy son. They name him Edward, after his grandfather. The Yorkist succession is secure. The dynasty is safe. As the 15th century turns into the 16th, the world changes. The Renaissance is blooming in Italy. A new world has been discovered across the Atlantic. But England, under the House of York, follows a different path. It remains a deeply Catholic nation. Richard is a pious, conventional king. His son, raised in his image, would be the same. The great pivot point of our history, the English Reformation, never happens. There is no Henry VIII, desperate for a male heir and willing to tear down the entire religious establishment to get one. King Edward VI, the son of Richard, has no need. He is the legitimate son of an anointed king. The idea of breaking with the Pope in Rome would be considered insane, blasphemous. And so, the dissolution of the monasteries is a historical impossibility. The great religious houses remain. England's landscape is not dotted with their romantic ruins. It is dominated by their active, powerful presence. This has a profound effect on the soul and the structure of the nation. The immense wealth of the church is not seized by the crown and sold off to a rising middle class. The gentry, the very class that would come to dominate Parliament and eventually challenge the king in a civil war, never rises in the same way. English society remains more feudal, more hierarchical, more bound to the rhythms of the old religion. England's relationship with the rest of the world is transformed. The great enemy of the Tudor age was Catholic Spain. But for a Catholic Yorkist England, Spain is a natural ally. The enmity that led to the Spanish Armada is absent. Instead, we can imagine English and Spanish ships exploring the New World as partners, their shared faith a bond against the rising Protestant powers of Germany and the Netherlands. There is no Queen Mary I, desperately trying to turn back a Protestant tide. There is no Queen Elizabeth I. The entire concept of the Virgin Queen, Gloriana, and the Golden Age is a phantom. The daughter of Anne Boleyn simply doesn't exist in a world where Henry VIII is an obscure second son of a defeated pretender. The culture of this Yorkist England is different. The towering figure of William Shakespeare still emerges, but his world is Catholic. His plays are not informed by the violent schism of the Reformation or the defiant nationalism of the Armada years. Perhaps his histories are not about the Tudors solidifying their claim, but are grand tragedies about the fall of the House of Lancaster. The language itself might be different, less influenced by the soaring English of the King James Bible and more by the Latin of the Catholic Rite. This Yorkist England is a more stable, more conservative, and perhaps more peaceful nation. It avoids the bloody religious persecutions that tore the country apart for over 100 years. It avoids the trauma of the English Civil War, a conflict born from the religious and political shifts of the Tudor era. It remains an integral part of Catholic Europe, a medieval kingdom that gracefully evolves rather than being violently reborn. But what is lost is as profound as what is gained. The chaotic, dynamic, and often brutal energy of the Tudor age was the furnace that forged modern England. The seizure of church lands, while destructive, created a new kind of social mobility and a new relationship between the people and the state. The break with Rome, born of a king's lust and ambition, unleashed intellectual and religious forces that, for better or worse, created the modern mind. The defiant stand against the Spanish Armada created a new, powerful sense of English identity. The world of King Richard III, the world born from a different choice on a muddy field, is a world that chose order over chaos. It is a world where the engine of modernity, fueled by religious revolution and social upheaval, stalled before it could truly start. Our world is built upon the bones of a defeated king, found centuries later under a car park in Leicester. His death was the pivot point. It gave us the Tudors, the Reformation, Shakespeare, the Spanish Armada, and the United States of America. It gave us our world. The world where Richard I is a quieter, more orderly, and perhaps more peaceful place. It is the ghost of a world we never knew. A powerful reminder that history is not a grand, inevitable march, but a fragile story, written on the day, in the mud, by the victor.
History is a story of countless pivot points, and the Tudor dynasty is one of its most dramatic chapters. If you enjoyed this journey into a past that could have been and want to explore more of these unwritten histories, please like and subscribe. We're just getting started with the Tudors, and you won't want to miss the next turn in the timeline.